Paper, pen, more paper. Is this enough? This doesn't look like enough. What was I supposed to say to him? Do I bow? Yes. Yes, I do. Benjamin, son of Abijah. And he will tell me what to write down, and if I do a good job, I can come back. It'll be simple, easy. This is going to be terrible. What I need is a bit of luck. Where is my... Molech, give me good luck and good favor with the king.
Consider what God has done and what He will do. He will uncover every hidden thing, good or evil. A wise man gives reverence to such a God. Am I then wise? Come, let us bow down. Let us bow down. Let us bow down in worship. Come, let us bow down before the Lord our God Most High. My father wrote that song. I always imagined he wrote it on a hillside much like this one, sitting up high where he could see the sheep ranging into the valley below. Although I never asked him, I always wished I had.
My mother used to sing that song to us children.
Did she often sing to you?
Oh, yes, sir. Sire, I often find myself singing her songs.
And you obey them? The songs, do you bow and worship before the Lord? Or are they just words?
I suppose both.
Honesty. And we have only just met. You haven't even bowed to the king in Jerusalem yet.
Please, forgive me, sir. Sire, I didn't know what to do out here. Please, forgive me.
And your father calls you?
Benjamin, son of Abijah.
His right hand. And he sent you to the king. A great sacrifice, I'm sure.
He wants me to be a great scribe. I'm already well learned in the ancient scrolls, and I can recite the generations of our father Abraham by heart.
Do you see that falcon? Do you understand why he circles like that, calling as he goes?
I have never observed him to know, sire.
Truly. You've never wondered how he can rise without beating his wings? We must work on developing your curiosity along with your scribing. The wind is constantly blowing, even far above us, first from the south, and then it turns to the north, and is constantly returning back to where it began. Where the cool breezes meet the warm winds, they create an updraft, which picks up the wings of the falcon, so he can circle higher and higher, all without exerting even a tenth of the energy he would need, were he to mount the skies under his own power. Now tell me, how long have the falcons been riding on the winds?
Since God made them?
The falcons have not just begun to learn how to soar. The wind has not recently begun to cycle continuously over the earth, and no man's ambition is new. Someone has written it, thought it, done it already, long before you and I were born. And all we can do is just join the stream of thoughts and ideas blowing south, and then turn back north again. And when we are gone and forgotten, another will come and think that he is the first to travel that way. And then another.
But you are the wisest man that ever lived. We all know the story of how God gave wisdom to you since we were small. It is one of the first stories young Israelites learn about their good king. It was promised to you to have wisdom that no one else would ever have as long as the earth remained.
Wisdom is only as necessary as there are problems to be solved. It falls to the king to solve many problems. Of course, I should need wisdom in abundance, or else I should only cause disaster. But why can that not also mean that every child who hears the story cannot also have great wisdom? I mean, do you as a great scribe someday want to have many students under you?
Of course I would
Then
like
let
to
us
have
begin.
students.
I presume you have paper in that bag.
Of course.
Good. Then write. The words of the preacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, yet the earth abideth forever. The sun also riseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to the place where he arose. All of the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. There is no remembrance of former things. Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those
Sire.
that shall come after.
Sire.
Did they teach you to interrupt in the synagogue?
My apologies.
Well, go on. Ask your question.
If we are going to be forgotten, and all we know, forgotten along with us, why am I writing this down?
He is our God, He is our God. Worship the Lord our God most high.
Hey, how did it go?
Well,
What was he like? King Solomon. Where did you meet him? In the courtroom? In the gardens? Is it true? Do his servants dress in all gold?
He was not what I expected.
There he is, back from his scribal debut in the palace. Now let's see here. No marks of death, so it couldn't have gone that badly.
Lucky dog. Out of all of us, the scrawny little small-towner gets to write down everything the king says in person. You're going to share some of your new wisdom with your friends, right?
The servant sent me to the hillside when I arrived. Said he was out there. They just pointed vaguely towards a hill and told me to start walking. So I started walking. I found a chair and out the pavilion finally. There was no one else around. No attendants. I mean, I suppose they must have been close by. And there he was, sitting on the grass, singing.
And you wrote it down? The song?
It is already written, a song of King David.
Well, then what?
He talked about birds and wind and rain. So I wrote it down and came back.
That's it?
Yes.
That seems rather...
Ordinary. Yes, I know. Although I don't actually think it was.
Right. Well, fascinating. Say, who's up for a walk around the city before things close up for the night? Maybe some good company and good food. Benjamin, are you coming?
Maybe later. Going to do some reading, I think.
Our great king himself said that much study is a weariness to the flesh.
What he meant and what he said. Could they be two different things?
All right, whatever. You read. We'll see you later.
Just out of curiosity, what are you reading? I mean, he didn't give you homework, did he?
No. I just thought I'd brush up on some wind currents and maybe rivers.
And birds, I'll bet.
No. I expect wind currents should impress the old man.
Right, well, see you around, Benjamin.
Moloch, give me wisdom as I read.
I beg an audience, my lord.
Jared, enter and speak, friend.
I wanted to know, did the new young scribe meet with satisfaction? He is, after all, one of our brightest young men.
Is he? He seemed an uncommonly ordinary young man. No discernible observational skills, very little sense of decorum, and no courtroom etiquette. Did he not receive courtroom orientation?
He did, my lord. What
He failed to
indiscretion.
bow upon entering the royal presence, failed to announce himself, and interrupted me while I was dictating.
My lord, I am aghast. He will be immediately rebuked and removed from the house of scribes.
No need, Jared. I think those are exactly the reasons why I like him. No, we'll keep him on for now. Although you can tell me what he is doing with his time since his first scribal encounter with the king?
Well, the overseer of the house of scribes tells me that he has loaned the young man several charts of the rivers and bodies of water in Israel.
Has he?
My lord, Benjamin, son of Abijam, as requested.
Have you seen this throne room yet, young Benjamin?
No, I haven't.
And what do you think of it?
It is awe-inspiring.
It took 7 years to build the temple to the Most High God, the temple that my father David had hoped of building but bequeathed to me instead. It took me 13 years to build this palace. It is built from the pillars up of treasures from all over the known world.
Those lions on either side of the throne and coming down the stairs, they're so lifelike. I saw a wild lion once, and these are just like it. The way their eyes seem to glitter and follow me.
The symbol of Judah, of Jerusalem, and of my father, King David.
I never knew there was this much gold in the whole world. And this is just the throne room.
This is the gift of God. All of this. The prosperity of the kingdom of Israel comes from the goodness and promise of God.
It's remarkable. Truly, there is no kingdom in all the world that has anything like it.
There isn't. The world has never seen anything like it before now, nor will it after. Every day, kings and princes and merchants flood this beautiful city and this glittering hall. They bring gifts, but they expect gifts in return, answers to impossible questions and political riddles. Tell me, young scribe, why is it that wealthy people have so many friends, yet poor people are friendless?
Because people expect to get something from the wealthy and expect to have to give something to those who are poor.
Wealth brings out the worst in people. How then is it still one of God's good gifts? When I prayed and asked God for wisdom, He gave me all of this, in abundance to His divine insight. How is it good?
It can be used to glorify His temple, to show the world how great He is. We sacrifice our best regularly to atone for our guilt.
Yet, our first king Saul kept the spoils of war to be sacrificed in thanksgiving to God, and he lost the kingdom for it.
The prophet Samuel told King Saul that obedience glorifies God more than sacrifice. So, using our blessings without first our obedience
Brings
will
the curse of God. Obedience is the greatest gift we can give. You are young, son of Abijam. You will likely see your king on the throne, should Jehovah will it, for many more years. But my son, Prince Rehoboam, will not reign in peace over the whole of Israel as we know it.
Well, no, my lord.
Have
how
you
can
read the
know that?
dedication to the temple?
I have, sire.
There was I, king in Jerusalem, standing before the glorious new temple that my father David had dreamed of, and knowing, and all Israel with me, that both I and the temple were there because my father obeyed Jehovah and served him with all his heart. I said as much, and then before the whole assembly, I prayed that God would continue that promise to me, that there would never lack for a son of David on the throne. I prayed for the sake of the people, that even when we sinned, God would have mercy on us and heal this land and the people He loves. For 2 weeks we rejoiced together. It was an enormous assembly. The scribes have written of the nations that were represented there, of Egypt and Ethiopia and surrounding kingdoms. Perhaps there has not been such a diverse gathering of people, all intent on the worship of Jehovah since time began. And perhaps there will not be another until the kingdom of heaven. Thousands of eyes saw the glory of our God that day, and thousands of hearts heard the prayer of His humble servant. But only one heard Jehovah's answer. Take out your pen and paper, son of Abijam. For when the feasts were completed that day, the holy God of heaven appeared to me a second time. If thou wilt walk as thy father David walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, and will do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments which I have set before thee, then will I establish the throne of thy kingdom forever. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my statutes and my judgments which I have set before thee, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel from the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name.
The temple
Is only as beautiful as the obedience of those who claim to worship within it. And O Jehovah my God, I have failed to obey. Look out this window. Even tonight, you can see the fires burning for Chemosh and for Molech on the hill in front of Jerusalem. Even tonight, there are sacrifices being made to other gods with my consent. But know this, the God of David's house always keeps his promises, and I have failed to keep mine. In spite of all the blessings that you see before you, you will know that your king forgot the Lord his God when the kingdom breaks into pieces and falls into war. And you will have to write the story.
My lords, may it never be.
Had I not built a shrine to every lesser god, an altar to every vanity of man, no son of Israel would beg favors from an enemy of Jehovah.
My lord, this is merely a trinket. If you wish, I will certainly get rid of it.
That's all well and good. But if you do not get rid of it first in your heart, then you may just as soon be asking your pen and paper for good favor, reliant as you are on them for words. If you do not have Jehovah first in your heart, soul, and mind, then you will simply replace this one with something else. Now I am your king. I can demand anything of you and expect to receive it, but this I will not ask. I can only implore you to learn. If you are going to be a great scribe someday, you will have to write both the good and the evil, record the righteous with the unrighteous, and learn from my failures. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of great wisdom. Be wiser than I, young scribe.
My lords, I beg your pardon for saying so, but is it safe for you to be out here unattended?
You are with me.
But I'm not a guard. I cannot
You
protect you.
forget we have been promised the peace of God in this land. There is nothing to fear.
You'll be mocked when someone recognizes.
You are too confident in the average person's eyes. I do not look like the glorious King Solomon today. So that is not what they see. They see a potential customer, nothing more. Now come, stand with me here on this step, and tell me, what do you see?
people everywhere. They are pressed so tightly together in the streets, it looks as though no one can move.
Yet the crowd is constantly flowing through the crowded streets, under the archways, animals, people, all moving and purposeful. Now, give me your hand and tell me, what do you feel?
Your heartbeat?
Rhythmic, consistent, and vital. Now, feel here on my wrist. What do you feel?
The same, your heartbeat.
Yet my heart is not in my wrist. Were I to cut off my arm, I would still live. My heart, how safely here in the center of my body is the important thing. If it is not kept safe, then my whole body fails. Just like this city. Were the enemy to flood the streets, the people cannot go about their business in safety.
So am I to understand that your heart is like the city, or?
Just as a safe city means healthy trade, and a healthy heart means a healthy body, so a righteous life means a healthy soul.
Even in this time of peace, there is a guard at the palace door and at the city gate.
Exactly. You can see their banners from here. Only a great fool would challenge them, battle-ready as they are. But those guards, they recognized me. And they recognized you. They do their job well. They readily let us pass without a murmur. But what if I were to replace them with men who are not trained, or ready, or even dead?
They would be useless, of course.
Of course. Why then are the guards to our hearts, our precious inner souls, guarded thus? The fool looks at anything he pleases, hears anything he wishes, and walks wherever he chooses. He's assigned no guards to stop him, and why should he keep himself from pleasure? He doesn't know he is poisoning his soul until it is too late, and much damage has been done.
Jehovah made a miraculous creation in our bodies. But can we ever understand our own soul?
We are wonderfully created in body, but by our own choice our hearts deceive us. Look at these people, Benjamin. They are all members of the great city, the city of God, where of all cities people should dwell in harmony and unity. They should care for one another in love. But even here, something creeps in. Ah, there, in the brown.
Yes.
I have watched him often.
He stole from that elderly woman and she didn't even notice. What do we... Oh, that was quick. The guards must have seen him.
They are very astute and alert. Are yours?
Are my... Pardon, my lord?
Are the guards to your heart as alert as my city guards? What have you done to guard your eyes, your ears, where you choose to go?
I suppose I am choosy about my companions.
Do they honor the ancient words of Jehovah, or do they see them merely as textbooks or old literature?
Even among the scribes, it is easy to just see words and not the God of heaven.
Do you admire the God of heaven so deeply that your eyes cannot admire what they shouldn't?
I suppose I rely on the prayers of my mother and father.
Your heart is not yet Jehovah's, is it? You still rely on other things than Him. I prayed and asked God for wisdom once. I should have prayed for it every day. Consider it. And when you write down what we have seen today, read it to your young fellow scribes. Will you do that?
I will, my lord.
Good.
Truly the light is sweet, and it is a wondrous thing for the eyes to behold the sun, but for both light and dark, God will judge. He will judge all.
And that is where we left off last time?
Yes, my lord.
Good, good. All our goodness. It's much like those peacocks I keep, isn't it? Look at them. Remarkably beautiful, aren't they? Creator God made a beautiful bird, and they seem to know that they are beautiful. In an effort to cast dispersion on a creature other than themselves, men call this beautiful bird vain, when it is only doing what its creator has taught it to do. It is men who are vain. But even in all this beauty, there is a little darkness in this most lovely of birds. Listen.
I have heard it many times before. Raucous, to say the least. You'd expect a bird like that to sound different. Something in keeping with its plumage.
So it is, I suspect, every time we show the darkness of our sins. You are very young, son of Abaddon. Right now, in these days, is the time to steep yourself in the ways of Jehovah, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when the light begins to dim and your days begin to fade, His light will only become the brighter. Right now, the stars of your life can only get brighter. The clouds rarely block out the light, and you can't imagine the rain without the sun coming out in the end. But one day, though it seems impossible now, the keepers of your house will begin to tremble. The strong men bow down under the weight of life. Your grinders cease because there are so few of them. Your windows will be darkened, letting in no light, and no music will be heard in your house. Everything shall grow fearful to you, unless you have taught yourself to trust in God when your house was in order. And then no darkness can alarm you. No fear or silence will cause you dread. Do you understand? Do you understand?
My lord.
The question was for you, Benjamin, not just for your pen and paper.
Well, let me see. The keepers and strong men are a man's arms and legs, and those, of course, become weaker with age. Food will become less pleasant to him as he loses teeth and isn't able to eat, and that's in reference to the grinders. The windows, I would interpret the windows to be the eyes and the no music to be hearing.
Men grow old. The young cannot comprehend it easily. Do you understand why I say it?
Is it the fear?
Even in times of peace, an old man can become fearful. It is perhaps something that the old can relearn from the young, what it is to boldly trust and not be afraid.
The young learn wisdom from those older?
one so full of fears of the next step and the steps of those who come after him, and the other so full of fears of all the years of life he is expected to live.
And the solution to the chapter, my lord?
How did it begin?
Remember.
Yes, remember. Do not in any wise forget your Creator. Never let him be so little as words on paper. Will you remember?
Me? I will, my
In
lord.
all your years of study, what do the scribes who come before you say about my father, King David?
He was a man who loved the Lord with all his heart, soul, and mind.
If you have one goal in life, it is to love God like that. It isn't gold lions and peacocks and court manners that you need. It's Him. I must go rest now.
I am ready, my lord.
Could have asked you to stop carrying that thing around, you know. That bit of wood you rely on for good fortune.
Shall I remove
But
it?
if I had, you would have only replaced it with some other little god to carry in your pocket.
My lord, I didn't mean to
Have
offend.
you read so little of what you have written? Or is that piece of wood truly your choice?
My lord, it is only a token of goodwill. It is not a god.
You don't ask it for things?
I suppose I have in the past.
And yet here it is with us today, where we have heard and sung songs of praise to the God of our fathers. It can't hear them, you know. It can't see you, and yet...
Will there be anything to write, my lord?
I think not. I think not.
Because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed, and sought out, and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words. That which was written was upright, even words of truth. And by these, my son, be admonished. Of making many books there is no end. Of much study is a weariness of the flesh. Let us hear the whole conclusion of this matter. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. The whole duty of man. No matter who is king, King Rehoboam is already crowned, and in his first days as king, he has proven himself to be as foolish as his father was wise. Already, there are rumblings of war. Jeroboam is gathering an army against the house of David. Has it ever occurred to you to disobey and walk instead of fly? You know your duty, and you do it. Fear God and keep his commandments. Even kings cannot do it. Maybe especially kings cannot do it. O Lord, God of Solomon, King of Jerusalem, I need your wisdom as I write these words for myself and for all of those who come after me. He is my God, he is my God. Worship the Lord our our God most high.